For the next 10 minutes or so, we'd like to invite you just to close your eyes, relax, rest in the presence, and hold space.
Namo Namah Gam Ganapataye Namo Namah Jai Ganesha Gananata Dayaniti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari 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 Namo
Namaste.
Namaste.
Welcome to our weekly online satsang. Satsang roughly means spiritual community. Literally, it's a Sanskrit word that means community of truth. Wherever two or more people who are on the path of truth, the path of awakening, the path of spiritual transformation, when two or more of us come together to share our journeys, we have a satsang. And our strength and our peace is multiplied in coming together and sharing the presence, the interior silence, the peace that each one of us has. Some of us have a lot of it, some of us have just a little. But when we come together, it becomes a deep pool that we can all draw on. So, welcome. The Flowering Heart Satsang is not a formal membership. We come from different teachers, different traditions, different belief systems. What we have in common is awakening and the flowering of the heart. And we come from all over the world. People join us from Europe, from Asia, South America, probably a few other planets I'm not aware of. But everyone is welcome. And what we share, besides our journeys of awakening and transformation, is the Flowering Heart Blessing. A form of blessing, the Sanskrit word for blessing is Diksha, but this is a very particular form of blessing. When the Divine revealed it to us a little over 7 years ago and said, start giving this one, the Divine said, this doesn't flow through any particular master or avatar or saint or spiritual organization or hierarchy. It comes directly from me, from my heart to whomever I choose to give it to. And I choose to give it to anyone who will receive it as a gift of grace. And because it's grace, which means freely given, not deserved, not earned, not paid for, give it away. Don't charge for the Flowering Heart Blessing. And let people know that when they receive this blessing, tonight, if this is your first time, you're soaking in it right now. If you connect with the presence, the energy of this, you can just simply invite the Divine to use you as an instrument or a vessel of the blessing. You are instantly initiated and activated just by receiving the Flowering Heart Blessing, and anyone you share it with is as well. So please give it away far and wide. It does catalyze awakening. It removes obstacles to awakening and the raising of consciousness. But most importantly, it causes the heart to flower in oneness with the Divine Source within, immediately weaning people from excessive dependence on teachers and beings outside of themselves. Many of us have sought for years, from guru to guru, master to master, initiation to initiation, from one temple to another, from one place of power to another, trying different methods, only to discover that we are the one we're looking for. You are the one you're looking for. And ultimately, you don't find it out there, and it can't be given to you out there because the outer world is just a mirror reflection of the inner world. Where this is discovered is going deep inside, coming to the center of your being, where the Divine in all of its fullness, the Godhead, dwells within you. It is enlightenment itself. It is unconditional love. It is fully divine. So once you discover this, you discover your true divine self, your true essence, and that in your true essence, you're already awakened. In your essence, in your divine nature, you are already one with the divine itself. So the Flowering Heart Blessing just goes right to the heart of it, so to speak, and causes the divine within to begin to blossom and flower within our spiritual hearts. Hence the term, the flowering of the heart. It's people have different names for it. Some in the West might call it God within, or the I Am, or the cosmic Christ. In India, it's often referred to as the Paramatma. Various names. Bodhi, the Buddha nature. It is within you. It is what is real and eternal about you. And the Flowering Heart Blessing awakens that connection and that experience and causes it to begin to grow and radiate out through all the layers of your being. First illuminating your spirit, then clearing your soul. The soul is the realm of the mind, emotions, feelings, programming. It clears that and restructures the soulish level of our being to be in harmony, in oneness with the divine. And it flows right out through our physical being, bringing healing and transformation to our physical bodies, and then right out into our relationships and all of our connections with the world. The ripples keep going into infinity. So that happens one person at a time, but it's so important that more and more of us awaken. So thank you for consenting to this journey. I know it's not always easy. The spiritual journey is the most challenging path you could choose. It's the only one that really matters, though. When enough of us are awakened on this planet, the collective consciousness of humanity itself will shift. That's essential. See, we don't actually exist as separate individuals. We are a collective being. In fact, there's one being in the universe, which is the presence. There's one consciousness in the universe. That is the light of the divine. And that is expressing itself through all the myriad forms of creation, including all 8 billion weird human beings. We're all one. And what's wrong is that we experience ourselves as separate. Hence, all the ego games. We look into the eyes of another person and we fear they might take advantage of us or overcome us. So there's competition. Competition begets conflict, and conflict leads to violence and war. And that's what we got. When we awaken and the veil is removed from our eyes, we look into each other's eyes and we see ourselves looking back at us, because we are one and the same divine being, expressing as you, expressing as me, expressing as Suzanne. When that happens, when we begin to not just believe it intellectually, but begin to experience it directly, that is awakening. And competition and conflict and war give way to cooperation, harmony, and peace. And that's what's going to happen in the end, or the beginning of the next thing. But that's where we're aimed. And thank you very much for being a part of that work. It doesn't belong to any single spiritual teacher or any single religion. The divine presence is at work in all the spiritual communities and traditions and gatherings of humans coming together seeking truth. The divine is there. And it's going to be so delightful when we get past the who's right and who's wrong in spirituality, which is just spiritual ego. So what we do here is we open it now to questions and answers, or anything you have. If you've been enlightened since last week, we would love to hear about it. But we puzzle. We have questions about aspects of our own spiritual practice, the spiritual journey, about life beyond being in a human body and mind. And if you ask questions, answers come. I mean, Christ said, ask and you'll receive. Everyone who asks receives. And his brother James said, you don't receive because you're not asking. So asking in India, we heard again and again and again from some of the better teachers that the key is to ask the right questions. Like, instead of asking why is it like this? Why am I suffering? The answer, that's are philosophical questions that never end. It's when we start to ask how. How can I get from here to where I want to be? And this is an opportunity for that. So ask your questions. They can be difficult, controversial, obscure. We've noticed over the years that when people ask from their hearts their spiritual questions, the divine presence itself showers us with insight and clarity, understanding. And it helps everybody, not just the one who asked the question. So I say just about every week, that's your part to play. And we'll leave it open for a few minutes. Look in your heart and ask if there might be something in there. I have no idea, Jeanette. I'd have to look that up. What is in Vedical wisdom? Maybe it's related to the Vedas. I don't know. Let's see what I can find out. If somebody else is like, I'm sure a lot of you know more than I do about stuff, so let's see. I don't even find a definition. It's not a word. Not in English. In Vedical. No idea. It could be something somebody made up. There are all kinds of new words coming from teachers and healers that have insight, but that's an insight that we don't have, and it's not even in the dictionary. So if you can figure it out, let us know. Maybe that was a question on Vimeo. Perhaps somebody on Facebook has got it figured out. Let us know. That's a good insight. John Lewis shares, the last time I stopped smoking, I simply asked, do you want to stop smoking? And the desire to smoke went away. Yeah. I've quit smoking several times. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore, but I used to. And I found that all I had to do was just give it to God. And the only discomfort I suffered was during the first 48 to 72 hours. But it was creepy because I knew I was being called to a spiritual ministry. I knew that not all spiritual communities are the same. I know that some Turkish Sufis smoke. I know that certain people, I tell you names, but it might scandalize you. But I knew that the people I was being called to minister to, some 40 years ago, strongly didn't think that you could be a spiritual being and smoke. So I just was so in love with God, I just let it go. And for the next 48 to 72 hours, anytime I visited someone's home and there were cigarettes in the house, there was this like almost a voice saying, in that drawer over there's a pack of cigarettes. In that cabinet there. And I went, that's creepy. That's really creepy. But it's not that hard. If you put something else in its place, like turning to the light. Same thing with overeating or any addiction. You can just, in the moment, instead of responding to that appetite or that pull, open to the light and drink in the presence. And I've seen it work for people who were strongly addicted to injecting heroin. And watched, it amazed me the first time I saw it, a young couple, they were in their 20s, and they went absolutely cold turkey with no suffering. Of course, myself and a friend laid hands on them and prayed for them, and the divine blessed them. But so I don't know what spurred you to think about that, John, but yeah, it's true of anything else. There were certain things in my life that I wanted to clean up. Like Ken Wilber says, there are four pillars or something of awakening. It's like wake up, grow up, clean up, show up. Well, I was at one of those points in my life where there were certain things I wanted to clean up. My eating habits and other things, and things I recognized as addictive. And I said, I want to change that. And the divine said, done. That was the easy part. Changing your behavior, that's easy. I can just do that. Bing. The more difficult and more important thing is to go deep into the unconscious and discover the sources of these compulsions and these programs. And I'm going to help you do that. And sure enough. So while I wait for... Do you want to add anything? I heard it on a spiritual channel today. Well, they should have defined it. In Vedic, we're back to in Vedical. What does that mean? But I have some quotes. Unless you want to add something first about... Okay. Some of these quotes have proven to be inspiring. I've shared that I'm on a newsletter, inspiringquotes.com, and anyone can get on it and they'll email you every day, but I don't consider it spam, and you can unsubscribe anytime. But some of the quotes are wonderful.
Do you know what's amazing about these is that sometimes you can hear something that can shift your perspective on things, and you kind of chew on it or meditate on it throughout the week. We were talking with a dear friend of ours who just turned 94, and he had a really rough year last year, a lot of challenges, and he's still in great health and drives and sharp as a tack, great sense of humor. But we were talking one day, and I said, the importance of gratitude cannot be, messed with. It's like gratitude is so incredibly important. And if we're in a state of gratitude, it's really difficult to be depressed because you're looking at all the good in your life. So we were talking about 4 or 5 days later, and he said, Suzanne, I think you're onto something there about the gratitude. He said, I've just been, when I start feeling down or feeling like I should be doing more or feeling guilty about something, I just start to remember to be grateful for everything that I've got and my health and, a house. And anyway, so the ripple effect that this subject came up because Michael and I were talking about these inspirational quotes. And it's amazing how when you start sharing some of these things that have a big impression on you, the ripple effect that it could have on others without even knowing it. I mean, I just said it kind of casually in a conversation we were having one day. But he's really been chewing on it. He's been contemplating it and looking at more and more things that he can be grateful for.
That was one of the subjects of quotes I did a few weeks ago. I was looking to see if I still had it here, but
yeah,
it's lost on my desktop somewhere. But actually, absolutely true. Gratitude is essential. It's one of the keys to getting out of depression and darkness and into the light. Yeah. Notice what's going right in your life and feel grateful. And express that gratitude and share it with somebody else, that something good that's happening. But today, the 10 quotes I'm going to share are on the subject of patience. And a little introduction. Good things come to those who wait is a truism heard often in our everyday lives, and those good things usually manifest as closer relationships, successful careers, and a prevailing inner peace. The art of patience combined with passion and persistence is what has propelled the greatest artists, scientists, athletes, and leaders to success. Famous authors have written the virtue of patience into their beloved protagonists. Artists have touted its importance in the act of creation, and philosophers the world over have attested to its value. But for many people, patience doesn't come easily. Hey, I don't think it comes easily for any of us, actually. As philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau once said, patience is bitter, but its fruit is sweet. These 10 quotes from famous figures across thousands of years speak to the importance of patience and how to inspire it within yourself when you need it most. So here we go. To lose patience is to lose the battle. Mahatma Gandhi. It does not matter how slowly you go, as long as you do not stop. No, that wasn't the tortoise and the hare. It was Confucius a long time before that. Be patient and tough. Someday this pain will be useful to you. Ovid. Rivers know this. There is no hurry. We shall get there someday. A.A. Milne. Patience is a necessary ingredient of genius. Benjamin Disraeli. Genius is eternal patience. Michelangelo. Two things define you. Your patience when you have nothing, and your attitude when you have everything. George Bernard Shaw. Water is patient. Dripping water wears away a stone. Margaret Atwood. Trying to understand is like straining through muddy water. Be still and allow the mud to settle. Lao Tzu. How poor are they that have not patience? What wound did ever heal but by degrees? William Shakespeare. Now, I'm sure Margaret Atwood said water's patient, dripping water wears away a stone. I'm sure she did, but Lao Tzu said it a long time before she did. It's a big theme in the Tao Te Ching, how water just flows with resistance. Water, when it hits a stone, doesn't try to move it, doesn't struggle with it, just builds up and flows around it. And eventually the water will actually wear right through the stone, like the Grand Canyon. It's amazing. I mean, it's huge. And this little river carved that out over countless millennia. So I have some others right here. And these are from Scripture. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 36. For you have need of patience, that after you have done the will of God, you might receive the promise. There are all kinds of promises that in the various spiritual traditions, the divine has said, if you do this, if you follow me, if you put me first, if you let your eye be single, then all these wonderful things will happen. And people tell me, well, I tried it, it didn't work. And Hebrews says, you need patience. So after you have done the will of the divine, you might receive the promise. That's the key. Doing the will of God, yes, but then patiently waiting. And patience is often translated endurance or perseverance. It's just don't give up. It's like Gandhi said, if you give up, you've lost the battle. James, the brother of Jesus, in the first chapter of his epistle, and verses 2 through 4 said, my brothers and sisters, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. But let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. And there, perfect could also be translated complete, whole. Whole. So count it all joy. That's not easy to do, and you fall into diverse trials. But this begins to happen when you get it finally, that it is through the testing of your faith that patience is produced. That's why somebody said patience is bitter. It doesn't come easy to all of us. Well, no, because it comes through the testing of our faith. Faith being trust. Trust in the faithfulness of the divine presence. Trust in the promises that we've received from the divine for ourselves. Trusting in the divine nature of love and provision and protection. It's through the testing of our faith. First of all, faith is being certain of something we can't see or even feel yet. We know it in our hearts. We're absolutely convinced, but it hasn't manifested yet. So patience comes when there's a delay between getting it, seeing it by faith in your heart and its manifestation. And there's so many opportunities to give up before it manifests. But let patience have its perfect work, that you may be whole and complete and lack nothing. So patience is evidently pretty important. And one more. This is also from the book of Hebrews, chapter 6, 12 through 15. Don't be slothful. Don't be lazy. Don't, but be followers of those who through faith and patience inherit the promises. It takes both. Faith is really important. Yes, you got to trust. You've got to be deeply convinced. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith perceives as fact what has not yet been revealed to the senses. But patience and faith. So don't be lazy, but follow those who through faith and patience inherit the promises. For when God made promise to Abraham, because he could swear by no greater, he swore by himself. God swore, I swear by myself, I'm going to do what I'm telling you, saying, surely blessing I will bless you, and multiplying I will multiply you. And so, after he had patiently endured, he obtained the promise. It's that patient endurance that is the most difficult part of the spiritual journey. When we don't see, we don't feel, it seems like the things we were certain of and promised are just missing. When you get it, you will with joy, with James, count it joy. All joy when your faith is being tested, because the fruit of that is patience. And the fruit of patience is the fulfillment of all the divinely inspired dreams and promises that we've heard that have been spoken to our hearts.
Reminds me of like planting a garden. You don't expect the lettuce to sprout up tomorrow. You have to have patience and nurture it and feed it and water it and make sure it has sunlight.
Yep.
Yep.
So how do you get patience? You endure in faith through the difficult times.
And trust.
And trust that that's part of faith.
Yeah.
But I can say this 100 times, and some of us, when we need the strength to endure, are going to pray, God, give me patience. I don't do that anymore because I know what's going to happen. If I pray for patience, God says, okay, here's another trial. Hang out, and take a walk in the dark. But the divine is faithful. And patience comes through, in a way, it's hard work. We learned in India, and some of you may have heard something similar, or there in India yourself, that there are these 3 keys to growth and success. One is to be passionate about what you want. You can't be, mamby-pamby about it, because the first time you hit an obstacle, you give up or change course. You have to be passionate about what you want. You have to make consistent, persistent, right effort in the direction of your goal, which in some cases may be just wait and don't give up. And the third ingredient is grace. When there is tremendous passion and the thing you're yearning for is in harmony with the divine will, and you make persistent effort toward it, in other words, you don't give up, you have patient endurance, then grace will meet you, and you just never know when, but it will happen. So, somebody must have needed that encouragement. Maybe somebody was trying to quit smoking, I don't know. Well, are there any other questions? I do want to ask you, if you're here, give us a like or a love if you're on Facebook. And I already know who's with us on Vimeo, so that's good. But we love to see the names associated with those likes and loves and Well, you gave us an angry face, Ekaterina. Are you mad at us? Are you mad at God?
Or was it a mistake?
Or was it, I hope it was a mistake, because in the beginning you gave it a thumbs up. You were the first one to. So, what can we do to help? John said, on a lighter side, in sales years ago, I told my boss that I was learning to be patient. He said the only people who need patience are doctors. Yeah.
It's funny.
And Yekaterina said, oh, sorry. Well, you don't have to be, and that's the thing about, I'm glad you're not angry. But anger is simply one of the colors on the human emotional palette. There's joy, there's sadness, there's enthusiasm. There are all these positive emotions. There's some that we feel are negative, although it all depends on how you understand them. But when anger manifests, it's important not to judge it. Often, if we repress it or try to judge it, it just takes over. It just feeds it, because the ego's giving it juice. Just if we can allow ourselves to experience it when it comes up, without responding to it, reacting to it, without resisting it, just let it unfold and go through you, you'll be free. But the minute the mind comes in and goes, you're spiritual, Katerina, you should not be angry. That's not good. Well, there's judgment, but it's the mind that's judging it. The divine isn't. So you said my son made me angry. Maybe it was a coincidence. It was one of those fortunate slips. Yeah. So, anger is a natural thing, and because I have a relationship with a lot of spiritual teachers, but especially with Christ, I like to point out that he got angry. He had anger. But he never screwed up. He never did something wrong out of anger to hurt anyone. But there are some things, I heard it described by a great Christian enlightened monk, that anger is the energy to confront injustice. Not inappropriately, but appropriately. There's some things we shouldn't go, oh, that's okay, everything's perfect, it's all good. No, there are some things that are unjust, and we, if we can, rally the strength to confront that in a positive way. Yeah.
Okay.
So there we go.
Here we go.
And there it is. All right. So if you would close your eyes and center in your heart of hearts. And there, open yourself to the divine presence. As I was sharing earlier, the fullness of the divine, the entire universe dwells within you. Rumi said, you're not just a drop of the ocean, you are the entire ocean of God in a drop. This divine presence within you loves you beyond your imagination, loves you more than you love yourself. No matter how much you think you've failed or screwed up, this is your divine parent. And just like a parent loves their child, even if they make mistakes, the divine loves you unconditionally, no matter what, exactly as you are, and yearns to embrace you in love and draw you into the center and liberate you, awaken you, free you from suffering and the delusion of separation, the illusion that there's distance between you and the divine. There is none. It's an illusion of the mind. Awakening is the dissolution of that illusion and the opening of your heart and your awareness to your oneness with Source. Just receive it. It's not something we can do for ourselves. It's pure, free gift of love from the presence. So receive and drink in the grace of awakening. This infinitely loving, all-powerful, all-knowing presence knows exactly what you need and how to get it to you. So just let go of fear, concern, worry, and just receive Flowering Heart Blessing. Nothing to do, nothing to figure out, nothing to struggle with, just receive. drinking in the blessing, it will melt troubling thoughts and dissolve them. It will melt difficult emotions and transform them into joy and peace and love. If you'll just receive it, allow it, receive it, be healed. Visualize us all sitting in a circle together, a blessing circle with our eyes closed. Lift up your hands with your palms open, facing forward, and invite the presence to pour the flowering heart blessing through you to all the others sitting in the circle as it's flowing back to you through all of them. Let's take a strong intention tonight for divine help and grace for the people of Turkey and Syria, where so many have been hurt, lost their lives to the huge earthquake that happened there yesterday. Peace and comfort for those who have lost relatives or who have been injured. Divine grace to help rescue anyone who still needs to be rescued, to heal and rebuild. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Now, when you're ready, relax and open your eyes. Begin to make direct eye contact with Suzanne and or me. Just keep focusing on at least one of our eyes as we enter the light meditation. Suzanne and I are flooded with oceans of grace and blessing. It floods out of every pore of our being to you, especially through our eyes, the doorways of the soul. There's nothing to do but just keep looking, and the light streams out through our eyes, into your eyes, deep into your spiritual heart, causing the flames of divine love and the light of awakening to grow stronger and brighter and brighter. Close your eyes now. Meditate with us for a few more moments as the grace we've received settles within us. Keep meditating as long as you like, or find a place nearby to lie down in Shavasana. That means to lie on your back with your eyes closed, your arms loosely at your sides with the palms open, turned upward, and just let yourself dissolve in gratitude in the presence. We love you very much.
Much love, light, and blessings.
Until the next time we meet, know that the divine within us beholds the divine in you, and we bow to you. Namaste.
Namaste.